That's the point.
Recording. Okay. Well, welcome to the Gotta Go Godzilla Podcast. I'm your host, Shadow Fox. For some reason, I almost wanted to call myself Archimedes.
What? Okay, well, there. Intros are done.
It's because I start so many of these, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, this is episode 13 where we gotta talk. We're going through all the Godzilla characters from the Showa era period, and we gotta get to the last monster of this period, which is none other than
Rodan.
yes, it is Rodan. Of course, you're right, Archimedes. It's Rodan. I just got the wrong image up there. No, it is Godzilla. I mean, in movies from 1954 all the way to 1975 for the Showa era, and let's just get all that useful data out the way. So this is gonna get a little confusing because there's technically.
Sorry, real quick. I'm realizing it would have been a lot funnier if I said Gamera. Damn it. Missed opportunity.
That was a missed opportunity.
I should have said Gamera. Damn it. I didn't think of it at the time. Continue.
Oh, well, it's going to get a little confusing because there's technically two Godzillas. Well, technically three, but there's two Godzillas in this episode. First generation and second generation. The first generation is the Godzilla who showed up in the 1954 and also 1956, and we'll get into that later, movie. The second generation is the Godzilla we've seen in all the other movies.
Wait, I thought the 1954 one definitely died.
Yes. That's first generation.
Then how did he show up twice?
Because the 1956 movie is the American re-release of the 1954.
The one with the American
reporter
just shoved in there for no reason?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so that's why I felt right to mention that he's technically in two movies, because the first Godzilla movie, Godzilla 1954, is just called Godzilla. The American global release, is called Godzilla King of the Monster 1956.
Yeah, which is more or less the same movie, just with an American talking throughout the whole thing.
Surprisingly enough, there are a couple of scenes missing from it that, while it doesn't take away from the context, there are pretty big scenes that are missed from it. So that did surprise me as I was doing research and trying to get screenshots for this. I was noticing different scenes and discrepancies when trying to get scenes from the dub version, but also looking at the 1954 version at the same time.
Oh, there you go.
But both these Godzilla, well, let's start off. The first generation Godzilla, he is 50 meters tall. That's 164 freedom units, or feet. 20,000 metric tons. And his ability, he got I've never heard this name for it before. Incandescent light. Incandescent light.
Wait, he's got the incandescent light of what?
That's the name of the attack. Is that the atomic breath? I've never seen it been called incandescent light before until I started looking this up.
Wait, it's called incandescent light.
Well, radioactive incandescent light. Yes. That's one name.
Like
for
a light bulb.
Yeah, like the action. Oh, jeez, I'm gonna butcher the Japanese. Hakuna Neko. I probably butchered that. There's probably a bunch of Japanese people saying, "You call my mother a what now?" or something like that.
Or a bunch of people saying you messed up the Hakuna Makata song.
Yeah, and it translates directly to white hot light. And then the other name is atomic breath, which directly translates to radioactive heat ray.
Both of those make more sense than incandescent. Why is the incandescent part there?
I guess maybe because with the 1954 one, remember his atomic breath wasn't an actual beam because they couldn't make the special effects. They just used, I believe it was a hose that sprayed
like gas,
water.
Basically.
Yeah, that sprayed
water.
water.
I thought it was like a gas, almost like a smoke screen.
It was basically spraying out like mist water, pretty much.
I'm sorry, that doesn't answer the question about
And I
incandescent.
think, and if I recall correctly, what they did to make the water pop or to make the beam pop is they lit light behind it, I believe.
I mean,
That's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head, because it makes a little bit more sense once you in the next couple movies where you see it's actually light.
okay, I guess because technically, okay, so incandescent does it does mean emitting light, so maybe something, but I don't know. I wouldn't have chosen incandescent for Godzilla's ray beam, especially in the first movie where it really didn't emit light. It was more like he was almost breathing fire from smoke. But I guess it kind of makes sense. Like
It,
I, I'm not pulling that. I'm not pulling that from like nowhere. Like incandescent, that by definition, it literally means emitting light.
no, I know, and again, this is the first time I've ever heard of it given that name before, so I thought it was worthy of a mention.
All right, yeah, no, that's interesting.
And of course, it's an atomic. His atomic breath is hot enough to melt metals, set cities on fire, and of course boil the ocean, or at least boil a part of the ocean, cause enough to cause a vessel to sink. Let's see what else. His durability. The original first generation Godzilla, completely impervious to anything the Japanese Defense Force could throw at him. They try a 50,000 volt electrical wire. He walked right through it. Um, they hang on. I think I did a complete rundown. Yes. Okay, I went very nerdy at this point. So I went crazy and I identified that the tanks that they were using to in that movie was the M24 Chaffee tank, which fired an M48 HE round. The M48 HE round was a primary high explosive round for the 75 mm M2, M3, and M6 guns, which those tanks typically had. It contained about 1.5 pounds of TNT filling, which equate to about 2,845 kilojoules of explosive energy. And Godzilla constantly took these to the face without even being bothered.
That sounds right.
I had to look all of this up because I was very interested.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm impressed.
Also, the jets they used was the F-86F Sabre jets, which, and this one I may be messing this one up a little bit because they identify the jets as Sabre jets, but there's several different models, and in the movie they show it firing rockets, but most of the Sabre jets aren't equipped to be able to fire rockets. There's a few, and the one I found was the F-86F, which is equipped with 6 12.7 mm rockets. So I had to assume that was the one because you see them firing rockets in that thing. So that's what I took from it. I'm sure there's going to be military people going, no, it was this one. Clearly this one.
I mean, to be fair, most of them were little models, so I mean,
They are toy models, but I was main reason I got into this is going to be for another one where we are comparing which Godzilla is the strongest. And I want to be
that's
able.
true. Yeah, you got to see how much of a hit they can take.
Yeah, but all in all, Godzilla is pretty durable. He's supposed to be impervious to most man-made weaponry. At least conventional arms, tanks, artillery, aircrafts, submarines, battleship is supposed to just bounce off of him. At least in the first generation, he was completely impervious. They had nothing that could even slow him down. Other power. He is amphibious. He is able, he's able to spend most of his time on the water. Really, this is a very good question. I don't think any movie ever touched how long Godzilla can stay underneath the ocean.
I mean, like, I always thought he was like able to breathe underwater as
Well,
easy as he's able to breathe in air.
in the Heisei era, they bring up the part that he have gills. Here, they never bring that up, and he's regarded as more as a reptile and not an amphibian.
Yeah, I was just saying that I was going. They brought up that he had gills at one point.
I believe, and this may be a little, I may be misremembering, but I believe in one of the films, if it's not Heisei, I may be thinking Shin Godzilla, where they gave him gills, and it was just very
Maybe.
well hit. I know Shin Godzilla, I think they gave him gills because he evolved.
Yeah, they gave Shin Godzilla a lot of
They
stuff.
gave him a lot of stuff. I don't know. That's gonna be something I'm gonna have to look up when we get to Heisei. We'll put a pin note in there. But in this one, he really don't have gills or anything like that. So that yeah, it's a good question. How long he can stay underneath the water? And the
I've
killing.
never thought. I legit thought he could just stay underwater indefinitely.
Well, that's the killing part. Because ultimately, we don't cover this as much in Showa, but in Heisei, we find out Godzilla, is a dinosaur. But here they openly admit that the only way he survived was by just being underwater for a very long period of time around the area where they were doing the H-bomb testing. And yeah, he would have to have been a dinosaur that had gills if he was going to live underwater for that long.
Pretty much.
That's a good question. We don't know how long Godzilla can hold his breath. Some would say indefinitely at this point. And I think that's
Again, I thought indefinitely.
Yeah. But he can swim through the water, or as we love to see, he can just walk through the water. And we have to assume that he's either got very long legs, or somehow the ocean is not as deep as we think it is.
I've always said that he's using his tail as some kind of rudder to keep himself upwards. Doing a little spin thing like they do in cartoons.
Possibly. Speaking of his tail, Godzilla have used his tail, fangs, and just anything he has for his brute force of tearing up Tokyo, and he pretty much goes through most of Tokyo like it's paper. So he's pretty strong. I mean, even if you was to take, dinosaurs are big. I don't think a dinosaur could. That's the thing. Jurassic Park put the dinosaurs as being big. I don't think a T-Rex could really tear up a neighborhood as badly as Jurassic Park put them out.
No, and they made dinosaurs exceedingly. They made them a bit bigger than they actually are. Like, if you ever gone to a museum,
they're big.
They're big. Don't get me wrong, but they're not as big as Jurassic Park kind of made them. Which is fair, because even Jurassic Park admitted they had to kind of change the size because otherwise it wouldn't be scary. Like some of the original raptors they're only a few feet tall. However, the Utah Megaraptor is actually as tall as the one in the Jurassic Park movies, but I don't think that was discovered at the time.
Yes, I remember that. No, the Utah, the Raptors, you're referring to the first Jurassic Park, right?
Yes.
The Raptors was discovered at the time of filming. They had already wrote and made the decision to make the Raptors that size, and it was in the middle of filming that they found the bones, and they were like, "So we was right." I remember because that was a trivia.
Yeah.
That was a trivia for Jurassic Park. Was the Utah Raptors would be found during the filming, which they would tell the people at the time of filming that they may have been right that the Raptors are that size, and that they were very happy to hear that.
Yes, because those are a particular breed of raptor, but that fits because they couldn't very well use the other raptors because, again, they're about the size of a chicken.
Yes. Yeah, no, Raptors really aren't that big.
Yeah, no. And, well, yes, a little man-eating chicken could, I guess, technically be scary. It's still a chicken.
They made those monsters that had the frills on their neck scary in Jurassic Park 2, I believe. Oh, no, the end of the first one, I believe.
Yeah.
And they're not that big. But...
No, but, it's a movie size.
Other than that, Godzilla only have one weakness, and that's the oxygen destroyer. The a weapon that contains a chemical compound that liquefy oxygen atoms, causing the living creature to asphyxiate and disintegrate. I
which
honestly would love to see such a weapon. Just out of sheer curiosity at this point.
I think they do technically have things that react in ways similar to oxygen, but like that to oxygen, but they're small things and like they're typically used for pest control problems or pest infestations. But I don't think they liquefy oxygen that way. I think they kind of
Break the oxygen off from the compound.
something like that. I forget exactly what it
Eh,
does. Forgive me, my knowledge of pests of exterminator technology is a little bit lacking.
Well, ironically enough, full originally I thought the oxygen destroyer did what the name said and just literally destroyed the oxygen molecule at a subatomic level. They
I'm not
explained
going.
it as
That's what I thought.
liquefy the oxygen at a subatomic level, which doesn't really make much sense to me. I think destroying it makes more sense at that point than
Considering the name, that's what I thought. So yeah, no, I
or at
was
the very
actually
least, I thought it caused the oxygen to break apart from the compound, which is why we always saw bubbles coming up from the end of the movie when he dies, was because I figure it's all the oxygen breaking off from all of the compounds. But
I mean,
that's always been my headcanon.
I guess to be fair, there is such a thing as liquid oxygen. I mean, but that's not really what it does. Liquid oxygen is more of a fusion of dioxygen, which is used as an oxidizer. It was actually used in some of the first rockets from 1926 developed by Goddard that I told you guys about,
Oh yeah. Okay.
if my memory serves me. So some people watching this because might come back and say, no, that's completely wrong about everything. So get prepared for those. I might be wrong. It's been a while since I've thought about that.
It's fine. They can correct us in the comments. I leave them on so they can harass us.
There you go.
Um,
But yeah, I believe that's what liquid oxygen is for. But no, I didn't know the oxygen destroyer turned into liquid oxygen. I thought it destroyed oxygen. I thought all those bubbles were like oxygen, like being removed from the
yeah,
water.
that's what I thought. But apparently, I've seen one soul say they liquefy it. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's new.
But again, assuming that my memory of it's correct, dioxide that actually would make a more flammable version of water. So, if anything, Godzilla should have burst into flames or something,
Well, he
not
was
liquefied
underwater
into a
technically.
skeleton. Yeah, but then you would have had a separation of the oxygen and then separation from high. You know what? Never mind.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going. Let's get out of this. We're going down a rabbit hole that none of us want to get into.
One thing I did find interesting was Godzilla's role is was made with. I knew it was made with a musical instrument, but I looked it up. It was made with the musical instrument is called a contrabass, and basically all they did was they unwound the E string from it, and then they took a glove and ran it across it. Well, they took a glove covered in pine tar and ran it across the string
Huh?
because
A what?
a contrabass, a contrabass.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm looking up what that looks like.
Yeah, no worries because it's not a very typical instrument. I didn't include a picture of it. I forgot to include one. I just thought this was an interesting note because originally they tried to give Godzilla a role. They didn't want to give him a role because reptiles don't make noise or they don't, make a roll. And they tried to mix a bunch of animal noises together like lions, tigers, but all of them sounded too natural. So they decided a who was it? Let me see if I got his name. It was
Oh, that thing really?
yep.
It's called a contrabass. I didn't know that's what it was called. I thought it was called something else for some
It
reason.
was who? It was Akira Ifu, Ifukube. I'm probably butchering his name. Who came up with the idea to unwound one of the strings and run a glove across it, covered in pine tar.
Huh. All right.
Um, and of course, I left a little note. This was what we were talking about before the podcast. One other note about Godzilla is he leave radiation in his wake. This first generation, the sediment of Godzilla footprint contained a massive amount of strontium 90. So,
Which again has the bad habit of decaying bones.
yeah, I believe you say it was like it was the same thing that Chernobyl had to worry about.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
And of
If you're
oh.
around that, cancer's the best you can hope for.
And while it doesn't show a lot in the movies, in the comic books, it's very typical for some of the old school comic books. People who get next to Godzilla often come out with cancer afterward.
And they're probably lucky.
Actually, yes, he regarded himself as lucky.
Yeah, no, they should. Like, if Godzilla's dropping those things, it could be immensely worse.
Well, oh, this is another side tangent. The comic I'm thinking of, and I may cover it one day, is a comic where a daredevil decides he's going to climb Godzilla. And he basically wear a complete hazmat radiation, it was supposed to be radiation proof suit.
Okay, so he's not completed
No,
yet.
no, 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 no. He knew for a fact that being that close to Godzilla, he would have cancer within minutes. So he had like a complete hazmat suit essentially of that he had to make the climb in. And
Okay, less stupid, but still climbing Godzilla, but okay.
well, ironically, he does get to the top of Godzilla, but it's not before he get a little tear in his suit. And like the whole story, he's retelling his whole adventure of climbing Godzilla to a reporter, and at the end of the story, he revealed, Godzilla left his mark on me because I got cancer from just that brief exposure was enough time to give me cancer. I think he got stage 3 cancer or something from Godzilla because of that.
Damn.
Like well, he was in his 30s, I believe, when he did that climb. He was in his 40s, maybe 50s with that cancer. Because again, he was a rich guy, so he had the medication probably to barely keep himself alive, but
I guess that's
he
good. But
was hooked up to an IV, let me put it that way, while he was giving that report.
yeah, I think that's the minimum of what he needs to be hooked up to, but all right.
Yeah, like it didn't turn out well for him. But
I would think not.
But that's all just Generation 1 Godzilla. Second generation Godzilla, almost identical. He's still 50 meters high. He's still 20,000 metric tons. He has the same old atomic breath. The only difference is we can scale him to other monsters, because the first Godzilla never fought anything other than humanity. The second Godzilla, he fought everyone. He fought humans,
Yeah,
he fought monsters, he fought everything. Aliens.
Yep. Godzilla's paws are rated E for everyone.
His atomic breath, for the second generation, had been clocked at reaching temperatures over 100,000 degrees Celsius.
Good for him.
Don't know what that is in Freedom Fahrenheit units, but
Sorry, how much was in Celsius?
100,000. I can only imagine that's probably gonna be like 700,000 in Fahrenheit or something like that.
I'm not doing that in my head. I'm looking that up.
Yeah,
There's
no,
just,
well,
like,
it's on you can do it in Windows calculator. While
Yeah.
you do that, his other powers, he has magnetic powers. As we saw in the previous episode with Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, he, by using the power of an electric storm, he gave himself the ability to have magnetic properties and be able to pull metal into him.
Yeah, which, again, makes perfect sense. Because that's how magnets work.
Kids, you heard it from Archimage. Go outside during a thunderstorm, get struck by lightning, and you become Magneto.
Well, there's our future Darwin Awards and survival of the fittest.
I'm sure lightning won't strike them.
You know what? Sure. Again, if they're trying it, Darwin Awards. Let's go for it.
You know what? I better say it. Kids, don't go out and do it because apparently YouTube probably won't like me if I encourage people to do it. Oh, if you do it on your own accord and say I did this of my own accord.
Yeah, just put that disclaimer
Yeah,
so we're
put
good.
that disclaimer somewhere.
Yeah, hold a paper
Yeah, hold
that has the
paper.
disclaimer written on it.
You may also want to put your will
Going
and
to a
testament
previous
on the
note,
back.
100,000 Celsius is 180,000 Fahrenheit.
Okay.
I was gonna say that, but when Archimage, not when Archimage. God, now you've got me doing it. God dang it!
Oh, well, forget
Apparently,
that.
we're
I
everyone
start- wait.
today.
I do start too many of these. Yeah, I was gonna wait till Shadow Arfox is done, but yeah, that's correct.
Okay, one sec.
Okay.
No, I looked it up. I was just waiting until he finished, but it doesn't matter.
Other than that, his durability, some would say tougher than the original, only because of the types of monsters he fought. The only time we saw him actually bleed was Gigan, who technically is a cyborg from space, so I can only assume the metal would be sharp enough on an atomic level to cut him. Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, that's space metal.
Yeah, Mechagodzilla, who also has space metal and enough enough armaments to pretty much take over the whole planet. So yeah, that also checks out. And then Hedorah, who was a walking nuclear not a nuclear waste, just a walking garbage pile that had acid strong enough to burn Godzilla all the way to the bone. Which
Yeah,
again
basically a
surprised
walking
me.
toxic sludge.
Other than that, yeah, very few things actually could harm Godzilla outside of those things. Kumonga Venom. What he was strong. Godzilla could resist it, but I think that was enough to put him down temporarily, if for any other reason. But of course, other than that, he does have a very strong healing factor. The fact that his hand was burnt down to the bone from acid, and it grew back by the end of the next movie, by the beginning of the next movie. The fact that he was shot to hell by Mechagodzilla and he was healed by the next movie. Godzilla's always had a healing factor.
Yeah. I mean, at one point if I remember correctly, well, wait, does that count if it's a different era?
You can bring it up if you're referring to the Heisei where he come back from nothing more than a heart.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I was wondering if does that count? It was
Yeah.
also that weird phase where they did the movie where he just had those blank, soulless eyes.
Oh yeah, I think that was the same movie.
Yeah, no, that was the same movie that he had the blank, soulless eyes, and he came back from literally just a heartbeat. Which I have to say, the so-called Guardians to protect Godzilla, they did not do a good job.
Oh
They,
yeah,
they got their asses kicked.
I mean, yeah.
Godzilla beat down all three of them.
Well, we're gonna get to.
Minimal effort.
Well, that brings me to his next trait of the second generation. He's physically strong, extremely strong, strong enough to beat down every monster he can.
And rip off Mechagodzilla's head twice.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Which, is made of like unbreakable space metal.
Oh, let's not forget his gravity-defying ability to fly using his atomic breath, do a flying drop kick. Trying to think of anything else that's all that's coming to mind off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, I don't really remember anything else. No, I think that's it. Or didn't he use his atomic breath to dig to the center of the Earth once?
That was legendary, which is the current Godzilla. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Oh, I put in my notes. This version of Godzilla is amphibious. And I actually okay. So he did have gills. According to the informational book, definitive edition of Godzilla Introduction, written by Tomoyuki Tanaka, the small holes located on the front of his neck are gills. which is pointed out in that image that I had posted this whole time. Japanese.
I'm
It's all
guessing.
Japanese, but there's only
Yeah,
one
no, I'm.
line pointing to his throat.
Yeah, I was saying it's the one point in his neck. Okay.
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 I knew there was a reason I'm like, why did I include a Japanese image in here? I'm like, there has to be a reason. I just can't think of it. That's why.
All right. I mean, that's one way to do it.
Okay. And for reference, the suit, if I recall correctly, the holes in his neck was the eyes for the guy wearing
I
the
would
suit.
think
That's just for the audience to know because some people, that's just
Yeah,
how they explained it away in canon. Other than that, I talked about his ability to fly using his atomic breath, which apparently can reach speed of Mach 1 when he does this.
Because that's not BS at all.
So when Godzilla feel the need to fly at Mach 1, he just look at the ground, use his atomic breath, tucks his tail, and he just flies.
Spewing radiation all over the place while doing it.
We don't talk about that. I didn't think about that, but you know what? It's probably good he only ever did that in an abandoned area of Japan.
Yeah, where it was the one with Hedora, right?
Yeah, it was the one with the sludge monster.
Wait, just to be clear, with a entire movie where they got a radioactive lizard to promote the dangers of pollution and toxins, they had him spew radioactive killing material, which we now admitted disintegrates bones all over a large area of wilderness, basically contaminating God only knows how many miles chasing the pollution. Is that about right?
The lesser of two evils, Archimage.
Yes, because everybody knows that dangerous radioactive beta particles are far easier to clean up than sludge.
That also... Okay, we'll move on to his other ability.
I can hear you trying. You're like, I can save this. I can save this. Like,
no, I've already said Godzilla leave radiation in his wake. I don't even want to think about how much radiation come out of that atomic breath of his. I mean, my rule of thumb is if you can see the radiation, you know you're in trouble at that point.
No, it's the last thing you see before you become a shadow.
So I've always figured that atomic breath has been leaving around enough radiation to pretty much burn a hole in the ozone layer.
Wasn't there an episode where Godzilla faced a bunch of humans who had mutant powers?
Yeah, you're thinking probably Final Wars.
Now we know why.
We'll get into Final Wars later on because you may actually be right. Because if I recall, the principle behind them becoming mutants in Final Wars was the fact that they had to evolve to a stronger race to deal with all the kaijus.
Or to deal with Godzilla zipping all over the place that we haven't seen in between movies and leaving radiation everywhere.
Well, they managed to trap Godzilla in an iceberg.
You got tired from flying? Is that why? Got airsick?
To be fair, that's his only weakness is getting stuck in ice.
Oh yeah.
Because he was stuck in ice in the second movie.
He's been stuck in ice in quite a few
He's been
movies.
stuck in ice with the third movie. He usually gets stuck in ice.
It's like, dang, this Godzilla's got worse luck than the Avatar.
Zed, I just realized why dragon Pokemon are weak to ice. That makes sense. Godzilla's a dragon type Pokemon.
Wait, is Godzilla an actual dragon, or is he not classified like Charizard, despite looking like a bloody dragon?
Well, see,
I'm never letting that go.
This makes even more sense. He doesn't have wings, so he's got to step up on Charizard.
I'm never letting that go.
Other than that, Godzilla apparently have some form of telepathy because there was a movie where a child was able to communicate with Godzilla. That was also, I believe, the Godzilla vs. Hedorah.
Oh yeah, not the weird fever dream one.
Yeah, I always thought that was just the child having dreams about Godzilla, but some people are linking it towards Godzilla having some level of telepathy. That one I'm a little bit iffy on, but I thought I would mention it.
What you should also ask about that is if it is a form of telepathy, which brain, the head brain or the ass brain?
The ass brain don't come into the Heisei era, so we're good there.
There we're good at.
Like we gotta give it a couple of we gotta give it a time period before we get to the ass brain. We'll get there soon enough. That's gonna be a fun time to go into biology at that point. But I'm glad you brought that up because the next part was his intelligence, because they say that what was it, Dr. Arnold Johnson from Godzilla vs. King Kong state that Godzilla has a brain about this size while holding up a marble, claiming that Godzilla is just sheer brute force. But
was it a marble or a walnut?
It was a small round object that you could hold in your hand. And I'm like, okay, well, yet, you know, Godzilla has been small enough to outsmart monsters, use tools, team up with other monsters, team up with robots, realize that a monkey that's covered in fur is weak to fire.
Makes sense.
So, I think human is trying to cope with that one.
Probably. I mean, I'm more amazed that a brain that, like, the size of Marvel or the size of a walnut, considering Godzilla's size, it should be more impressive that a brain that size can operate that thing. Godzilla's big. I mean, like...
Oh,
you know, you need something to control it.
I'm glad you also say he's big. This is there was another book, The Giant Picture Encyclopedia of Godzilla Toho Special Effect Movie World states that Godzilla uses a traveling incognito ability. So he can basically go Batman. Where you know how Batman just, you know, disappears at random moments?
No, I heard you. I'm just trying to process that.
Well, here's the thing. I'm like, when did he ever? And then they point out in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, they don't elaborate how, but somehow Godzilla got into the warehouse district and burst out of a warehouse to confront fake Mechagodzilla.
Fair enough.
How did he hide in the warehouse? I don't know. How did he get to a warehouse district without half of Tokyo seeing him? I don't know.
There's only one reasonable explanation. Ninja Turtles, giant hat, and trench coat.
I should put like a trench coat on him or a giant Batman cowl on his face. Maybe Batman really was Godzilla this whole time.
Nah, if Godzilla, you know the memes, when Batman sees Godzilla, he roars and Godzilla goes away. Is that the meme with Batman that everybody's scared of Batman, or am I just remembering that wrong?
Well, now I'm thinking I gotta reread the Godzilla DC crossover event to see how Batman deal with Godzilla.
I'd love to see Batman's contingency plan for Godzilla.
Ironically enough, I don't think he mixed with Godzilla hardly any in the comics, because it's Superman who fights Godzilla in that comic.
Really? Really? They wouldn't put the normal human against the giant radioactive lizard?
No, they put him...
I'm shocked.
They put him against one of the giant kaijus that attacked the city.
Okay, I guess it makes sense.
I don't know which one. It was one... Because this was Legendary Godzilla, it's one of the random kaijus that... It was a giant bat kaiju, ironically enough.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, like, Zed, back me up here. If you were in the world of the Justice League and you saw Godzilla, I would send one of two Justice League members. One is Superman, the other is Captain Atom, you know, the radiation guy. Right?
And that's why you would lose.
What?
Because you didn't send Batman to deal with him.
They didn't send Batman either. According to Shadow R. Fox, they did send Superman. So,
Yeah, because they're stupid.
What is Batman going to do against Godzilla?
I have no idea, but I know he'll win.
Only if he had prep time.
Exactly. Give him a day, he will have the problem solved.
If he doesn't have prep time, Godzilla got him.
No, if he doesn't have prep time, anyone beats him. But
I guarantee you prep time involves Superman in some way.
No, prep time involved him going to Japan to find the guy who made Oxygen Destroyer to
Yeah, that's what the prep time is. The prep
Okay,
time.
but we both know damn well Batman has no problem using people.
Yes.
No problem whatsoever. He uses a little kid as a human shield all the time. You know, he's dressed in black in the night where he put, the kid in like bright red and green.
I can't.
He also has a cowl protecting his neck, and the kid just gets a face mask.
Exactly.
I can't remember, but I vaguely recall they tried to give some reason why Robin wear bright. No, I know the reason they gave was because the color it was the color of his circus uniform that he used to wear when he was on the trapeze. But I think there was another reason Batman let him run around in bright colors, but I can't remember why.
Because letting him be called Robin instead of human target was too obvious.
There was a reason. I looked it up, but I can't remember.
I mean,
right now.
whatever reason it is, it's not good because it's the same reason why the bat emblem is either brightly colored or big on his chest is because that's the most bullet-resistant spot.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's not good
So-
no matter what, because no matter what,
By
you've
that
got
logic,
a
having
grown-ass
Robin in
man.
bright colors means the bullets are likely to head for him.
You've got a grown-ass man putting a 12-year-old kid in gunfire.
A good father.
You all know it's true.
I didn't say anything.
Like, I think they brought that up in one of the movies. Like,
yes, he goes full Robins.
yeah, like one of the DC animated movies, I think also talked about that, where it's like a different dimension where he doesn't have the Robins. And he goes, "Where are your Robins and everything? You've been training us since we were 8 years old." He just looks at him and goes, "That sounds incredibly irresponsible."
That was Shattered Earth, the one where
Oh
not
yeah, with
Shattered
the
Earth.
multiple.
It's the one where the multiverse is falling apart and they're trying to deal with it. The one
Yeah,
that was
that's
two
it.
parts.
I thought it was 3 parts.
3-part maybe.
Yeah, where Jensen Ackles plays Batman. Good choice.
Other than that, back on topic with Godzilla.
Yeah,
Other
sorry.
than that, no, you're good. Other than that, his weakness I already went over it. Besides the Oxygen Destroyer, is ice because he get frozen all the time, and ironically enough, electricity is said to be his weakness in Godzilla vs. King Kong. But then we watch him get struck by lightning and get powers from it. So I think that's just BS that they made up just for that movie.
Okay, maybe it's man-made electricity
Well,
is
that's the
his
thing.
weakness.
He get hit by lightning and that made him stronger. He's been hit by electrical wires made by Maine, and that doesn't phase him. The only time he got phased by lightning was when Kong got struck by lightning, got lightning powers, and then shocked him. So apparently, it's not man-made lightning, but ape-made lightning.
I mean, I think I go with what you said when we first watched that movie. It's a monkey versus a giant radioactive lizard. They had to give him some
They
handicap.
had to give him something.
I mean, I think when the new movie of Kong versus Godzilla came out, didn't
They gave
one
him
of our
the axe.
friends? Yeah, but no, one of our friends showed us a picture where it was an ape like shrugging his shoulders, saying, "It's a giant radioactive lizard. Like, I'll do my best, but come on." Or something like that. It was like, yeah, no, that's about right.
I mean, the best, if you want to know who's going to win in the fight between Godzilla and King Kong, the best real-life example is look up Crocodile versus Gorilla. And see how well those fights go. If it's on land, yeah, the gorilla have a chance. If it's on the water, the crocodile is going to tear it to shreds.
Yeah, and the crocodile doesn't breathe atomic radiation.
Yeah, that's another thing. Other than that, of course, the 1954 Godzilla movie, we'll go over that with the first generation Godzilla. Also, the 1956 King of the Monster. This is the one I'm kind of most familiar with Raymond Burr, I believe, as the reporter.
A decent scumbag.
A decent scumbag. Other than that, this pretty much start off with a Japanese freighter being suddenly consumed by a white hot flash of light. I guess that's where the incandescent light come from. That's my guess, Archimage. I'm going.
Yeah, no, I'll take it.
This happened very close to the and and it would be some fishing boats from Oda Island that would discover some survivors from it, of course suffering from some radiation poisoning. Eventually, and also the people on Oda Island was having problem getting some fish. Eventually, one of the locals say, "Well, we gotta pray to our ancient god. The ancient monster that we used to have roaming around the island is clearly angry with us, so we're gonna have to pray to him to appease him." And they call this monster, of course, Godzilla. And they go through the process of doing the usual thing of sacrificing to Godzilla. That night there's a storm. Godzilla do take this opportunity to destroy one of the houses. I guess that house didn't pray to him enough. I can believe that.
Clearly.
I mean, again, this is why I need to be made Pope of the Godzilla religion when this happened, but we'll get to that soon enough. Eventually, the next day, they all looking at the footprint that was left behind, and that's when we get our first appearance of Godzilla coming from over the hill, scaring half the people on Oda Island away. And eventually Godzilla start making a beeline straight for Tokyo, primarily because that's the closest source of radiation, and that's what he's looking for. If you've never been able to gauge, well, we'll get to this in the Heisei era, but most of the time Godzilla is driven by looking for food source, which is radiation.
Yeah, because I've noticed I've never actually seen Godzilla eat anything other than radiation.
The closest we got was Legendary, where we saw him eat radiation from a nuclear site.
That was a good scene.
No, that was a really good scene. I'm glad Toho let them do that. Other than that, we get some good shots of Godzilla going through Tokyo. We get some of the most iconic shot of Godzilla taking a bite out of a train car.
I'm not gonna lie. I know this is a first time cheaper looking costume, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it actually looks a little bit more unsettling because it looks slightly monstrously disfigured, making it almost more monstrous in a way than the later versions, which, let's face it, became a little silly.
Well, yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up because originally the first Godzilla was a horror film.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a sci-fi kaiju big monster fighting. It was exclusively Godzilla was the serial killer, the Jason Voorhees, the Freddy Krueger of his film. They when they designed him, they made his scales. They did his scales as a cross between reptiles, amphibians, and then radiation victims.
That makes sense.
So that's why like his suit is so bumpy, and that's why his face is. That's why with a lot of the newer Godzilla designs, how he look. You notice how a lot of the new Godzillas from Japan, like -1, he looks very intimidating,
Yes.
and he looked less like a reptile and more like a burn victim.
Monstrous. Yeah.
Yes. And that's why they're trying to get closer to the roots of Godzilla was supposed to look like a creature that would have came out of radiation.
And to be fair, I mean, especially for the 50s, I think they did a good job because
Well, now
I
we
do
get a better
know
look of him.
because I do know it's supposed to be a horror film, and like, yeah, this thing looks disfigured. He looks like something that you could almost recognize, but that has been almost mutilated by radiation, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, and that's what the all the designs I read about Godzilla, that's what they were going for when they originally made his design was a atomic beast that was essentially mutated and mutilated by radiation, but also strong enough to just rip through Tokyo. And here's a shot of him ripping through the high voltage wires that they tried to stop him with. Didn't even slow him down.
Right.
And throughout this time, he's pretty much just torching all of. Don't know how well you can see it, but he's pretty much torching all of Tokyo at this point. Breathing out his incandescent light breath.
Yeah. Again, the eyes, like,
Oh.
go back to that
Yeah.
picture. Like
They're
This
dead.
thing looks creepy as it looks very creepy
They're
this
like
way.
doll's eyes.
Yeah, I mean like that's my point. This creature looks really creepy. So yeah, I do know like this was definitely a horror film, and again for the times, it was a pretty decent one.
Oh yeah, no, I liked it as a horror film. Well, ironically enough, I fell in love with Godzilla. I saw the humans as the villains of that film, but um,
I mean, to be fair, the main human hero was wearing an eye patch, and that may be a culture thing because in America, if you're wearing an eye patch, you're automatically the villain.
yes, and that was
You can thank James Bond for that.
Daisuke Serizawa was the scientist you're referring to with the eye patch. He actually that bring me to him. Basically, at this time he had discovered the oxygen destroyer years ago, and he decided to go become a recluse and basically just live out the rest of his days hiding what he found, because he knew this would quickly be he wasn't sent out to find a new weapon. He was trying to if I recall correctly, he was trying to figure out a way to study fishes. And I don't know how you connected from studying aquatic life to, oops, I made a chemical compound that can break liquid off and cause oxygen to be liquefied on a subatomic level. I don't know how you get from point A to point B, but somehow he found the dots. Uh, um, there is a whole. I'm kind of glancing over a whole subplot where there's a whole subplot where basically he has a fiance who's technically in love with another man, and she want to marry him, but she's kind of been promised to marry Serizawa, and there's a whole little love triangle going on. Where she likes him, but she see him more as a brother figure than a lover. You get it.
Yeah.
To child me, this was a minimum subplot of a love triangle, pretty much.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, it is kind of how these
When,
things go. So what else is new?
when there's a kaiju burning half of Japan, I'm sorry, that kind of take precedent over your love triangle.
It really does. I mean, especially with how it ended anyway. So
Yes, and we'll get into we'll get into that right about now, because there's a picture of the oxygen destroyer. So basically, they go to after the second attack on Tokyo, and half of Tokyo being in flames, and thousands being left injured or dead, and even Mo being infected with radiation poisoning. They finally convince him to use his weapon, use his oxygen destroyer to kill Godzilla. They package it in a little in the vessel we see there, so that way they can take it underwater. They basically set up get some diving suits and decide to take the bomb straight down to the water where Godzilla is currently at, and just detonate it next to him. Which, if I recall correctly, again, I kind of skimmed through this to try to review it. If I recall correctly, the logic was Serizawa said, I will be the only one to use the bomb. Nobody else will, because I don't want anyone else to figure out how it works. He burnt all his notes before he left, so there was no other evidence of how he made it and the chemical compound.
let's call it what it is. It was a suicide mission.
No, he knew full fact it was going to be a suicide mission, because he also at the time knew that C had told him that C was in love with another guy. The other he's the one Dr. Zerazawa, if you're looking on YouTube, is the one with the bomb right now, and the other scuba diver is the other lover in the love triangle.
Which, props to him. Like, he knew that he was gonna destroy himself anyway, so he didn't try to take the dude with him anyway. He's like, to be fair, I mean, I give him props for saying, go be happy.
So, yeah, Serizawa, he's an interesting character, because when I saw him, one of the things I remember the most about him, he reminded me of David Tennant's Doctor, in the sense of he was just grieving. And it wasn't even over the fact of, like, how David Tennant, he couldn't hardly remember anything about the Time War. For
Yeah.
those who remember Doctor Who, this guy hasn't his weapon, his oxygen destroyer, haven't taken any lives outside of animals that he found out when he accidentally made it. But he grieves so heavily over the fact that he was so fearful that it could become a weapon, that it would be weaponized, that he literally lived his whole life just in his basement, never doing anything.
Yeah,
So
no, like he was absolutely paranoid just if he didn't watch it 24/7, like it would almost escape.
yeah, and in some ways I get it, because let's face it, if you made a weapon that could remove a element from a compound at a subatomic level, especially something like oxygen.
Man, I'm just going with let's go with the huge trope here. If you made a bomb that could kill freaking Godzilla, you should be freaking like that's a moment where you should, oh my god, what kind of power do I have? Like that really should be a oh my god kind of power thing. It's almost a good parallel is like Dr. Frankenstein, he went through the whole process of basically creating life. And then when he actually did it, he was horrified by what he'd done. Like he had basically bastardized science to the point of, um, just to a point where he couldn't even recognize what he'd become, the power he had at his hands. Which I know it's a little bit different, but I mean, not actually, no, not really. It's a big bastardization of science and just like almost playing God.
My mistake. He wasn't. I just looked over my notes. He wasn't researching aquatic life. He was specifically studying the element of oxygen.
Got it.
So
Still, that
that's how he got from point A, and that makes a little bit more sense how he got from point A to point B.
yeah, no, that makes sense. But my point still stands with the whole Frankenstein analogy.
And one thing that of course, like you said, he knew it's a suicide. He knew he was gonna kill himself because he didn't want this research to get out, and he had nothing. He felt. I guess he also felt he had nothing left to live for at that point. So he cut his air tube. He cut the line to himself. He detonated the oxygen destroyer as the other guy's being pulled up. Godzilla comes up surface one last time for a defiant roar before falling back into the ocean. His bones are, he's pretty much disintegrated down to his bones, and this is gonna be a thing that remember that you said several times, Archimage, his bones were used to make Mechagodzilla in future incarnations of the movies. Ironically enough, watching this scene again, his bone get disintegrated as well.
Do they?
Yes.
Huh.
So they retcon that. I never realized that, but they retcon the fact yes, I remember from the original he get melted down to his bone, but then I kept watching and his bone disappeared.
Well, damn, I'm gonna have to go back and I might have to go back and rewatch this.
Yeah,
I think it's
I
on.
had to rewatch it, and I saw that his bones disappear, and there was nothing left. So they'll later on retcon this in the Heisei era to say he got melted down to his bones, and his
I'm gonna have
bones
to look that.
remain.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that. I mean, it's on HBO Max. I
Yeah,
think.
no, it's the original 1954 is on HBO. And I saw both. I saw the original plus the 1950. The screenshot you're looking at on YouTube is from the 1956 one.
The 1956 one, did his bones get disintegrated as well, or did they
Yeah,
remain?
no, this screenshot right here is from the 1956. The very next scene is the bones are gone.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go rewatch that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, go.
I mean, I believe you. I'm just like, damn, did I really not pay attention to that?
I never. It caught me too. I didn't realize it until I saw it, and I'm like, huh, they retconned that. I never realized that.
I guess it was a small enough change that very few people like would have realized that, but still, dang.
Other than that, one of the reason I did Godzilla as the last one is because I said that if I did Godzilla first, it would be me naming off all the monsters he fought, and you wouldn't really have faces to put with the monsters. But now that you have faces to put with the monster, I can go down the list. And it's a fairly long one. So we got Anguirus, King Kong, Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah, the giant eagle condor, Eberus, Kamacuras, Kumonga, Gabara, Hedorah, Gigan, Megalon, Mechagodzilla, and Titanosaurus. 15 monsters.
I'm more amazed you almost fit all of them into this.
So yeah, Godzilla would, if I had did the Godzilla first, it would literally been me trying to describe each one of these monsters to you.
I understand entirely.
And there's
Sorry,
a lot.
I understand
No,
entirely.
you're good. There's a lot. There's a lot. Godzilla's
Have we really talked about this many monsters? I mean,
Yes.
damn.
Well, remember, and we're missing a few. Remember, Varan, Baragon, Gorosaurus, and Manda are full monsters Godzilla never fought, but they showed up in his movies, and we talked about them.
Yeah, now we are missing a few.
So, and Manila technically is another one that we talked about, but Godzilla didn't fight his adopted son, so
No comment.
stepped on his tail, but not fight him.
No comment.
Other than that, some final notes. I was telling this is what you and I was talking about, Ark and Mitch, when we were talking about Death Battle's new match between Godzilla versus the Hulk. That's gonna be interesting.
Again, seems one-sided.
But the thing we were talking about was the Cherenkov radiation, which is the blue glow that comes off of Godzilla when he's about to use his atomic breath. That was their inspiration. They used the real world Cherenkov radiation to attribute the blue of his atomic breath and the blue from his spines.
On a side note, I think it's Chekhov, but
Is it
I'm not.
Chekhov? Okay.
I think, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I might be wrong.
Okay. Because I never knew how to pronounce that.
No, just the way it's spelled, I think it's Chekhov, like Czechoslovakia. You know, because it's spelled
Okay.
similar to that. But I'm not 100% on that, so don't quote me on that.
Nah, your pronunciation may be better than mine, so that's why I would take either. Other notes. Let me see what. Oh yes, the American version of the 1956 Godzilla, the American version. They estimate Godzilla height at over 400 feet, which is much taller than he is. I think 165 feet is what his canonical height is. They give him at 400 feet.
Yeah, that's a tad bigger.
So that was a slip up on their part. What?
That's a hell of a slip up. That's like that's like 3 times as big. Slip
Yep.
up my ass.
And another one is the definitive edition of Godzilla introduction. In explaining the existence of Manila, the producer Tomoyuki Tanaka speculated that the first generation Godzilla could have been a female. Because
Sexy.
how else could you explain where Manila because Manila came from an egg. Who laid the egg if the first Godzilla is the second Godzilla is a male? That was one of the theory. Again,
Well, it depends. Do we want to pretend Zilla makes sense?
Well, we'll get to him.
Unfortunately.
And this was just a little thing I found interesting. Since Godzilla is 20,000 metric tons, that's equal to 5,000 elephants. I just thought that was interesting.
No, that is.
Damn. Some little thing. Oh, I did want to correct myself. I don't know if I bring this. I don't believe I brought this up in the previous episode, but I did talk to you and Zed about this. And if not, this will be a little fun fact for the previous one. I had thought Terror of Mechagodzilla was the only Godzilla to have nudity in it. Because Terror of Mechagodzilla have one scene with a topless woman. And
Right.
as far as I knew, that was the only time Godzilla ever had nudity in it. I was wrong. There was 2 movies before Terror America Godzilla that had nudity in it.
Seriously?
The first
By the way,
Godzilla
most
movie have nudity in
unappealing
it.
one ever.
The first Godzilla movie had nudity in it.
Where?
So I had to look because I had no idea about this. This completely blew my mind. I'm like, no way. I thought they were lying. So remember
Well, I
how
guess
I
it
told
was a horror movie.
no, not in that way. So remember how I told you they were on Oda Island and they found fishermen.
Yeah.
The fishermen found the survivors.
Yeah.
The people on the coastline, some of the women are technically topless.
I
Ironically,
legit do not remember any women in
and
that
here's
scene.
why. Most of the women are old and they look like Maine.
Got it.
So I saw that. I'm like, my eyes glanced over them, and I saw them, and I probably mistook them as guys, because I wasn't paying attention to them, because they're in the background.
Yeah, makes sense.
The only other nudity, this one I haven't confirmed, but someone told me this is where it's at. Godzilla versus Megalon. At first, I was thinking, was Archimage right, and the boy's shorts was just really too short for this scene? But no, because you kept hopping on the boy was wearing the shorts, and you didn't like that. But
I didn't. No
But
boy should be
apparently-
forced to wear shorts that short.
someone told me, look at one of the posters. They have a pinup poster of a naked lady in one of the scenes where a car, they have a poster of a naked lady. I think I know which one it is. I think it's when they're in the truck. But I have
there's
to
a
double
few
check.
Godzilla movies that have that. Like if you look at the background on people's walls, they have posters of nude women.
But that Godzilla vs. Megalon was the only one where it was so pronounced that the UK release of that movie upped the rating because of that.
UK figures.
Yeah, no, it's UK figure, but I thought that was noteworthy because, again, this is something new I learned. I always thought Terror and Mechagodzilla was the only Godzilla to ever have nudity in it.
Call that nudity.
I
but-
never thought, I never thought there would be other film that have nudity in it. I'm like, okay, that surprised me. I learned something new about Godzilla that I never thought I would learn.
Oh, there you go.
Other than that, any other closing comment before for the end of the Showa era? Because with this, we're done with the Showa era of Godzilla. The goofy Godzilla Defender of Earth version of, well, almost.
Yeah. Actually, yes. Since we've been talking about since Godzilla is basically an analogy for the dangers of radiation, nuclear power,
Yes.
and nuclear war. Please remember, everyone, that the Simpsons did have something correct. That nuclear power plants do actually have an off switch.
Yes.
It's called the scram button. It's labeled scram. If you're ever in a case where the reactor's going off, you hit the scram button. It's literally meant to shut down the nuclear reactor. Reactors do have an off switch. So please remember that and prevent a future Godzilla from roaming your town. Thank you.
If I recall correctly, the reason they couldn't do that at Chernobyl was because they let it get to a point where it had got critical.
Yeah,
And
it's Russia. What do you expect?
And because if I recall correctly, what happened was one of the crews had kept it on, or they had forgot to do something to essentially power it down or lower it levels. And when another crew came in to do their tests, they didn't know that the reactor had essentially been on all night. So when they ran their tests, it pushed it over the limit, and they couldn't hit the scram button even if they wanted to because it had reached critical at that point.
I'm not gonna lie. I never properly looked up what happened at Chernobyl's, but I'll take your word for it.
It was something along those like I recall it was something
I
along those
believe
lines.
you. I never really looked it up, so I can't confirm or
again,
deny it.
People have told me the HBO Chernobyl series, is only like 4 or 5 episodes. Multiple of my coworkers and stuff have said it's really good, and from what I've looked up on the actual Chernobyl meltdown, they get it pretty spot on in what happened to cause it, like
Makes
point
sense.
for point.
I believe that. And also, again, Russia. These are the same people who tried to see if a nuclear-powered bomber could work by putting a nuclear core onto a
I
plane,
remember
flying it around,
that.
and didn't actually give any protection to their pilots. And America was so freaked out. I was like, oh my god, are they going to get a nuclear-powered bomber before us? And then it came out they didn't have any shielding. Because they kept going, well, wait, how are they getting all the necessary lead and everything to shield their pilots? Oh, they're supposed to have shielding?
Yeah, while also, not exceeding their weight for the plane to be able to fly properly.
Yeah, no, that's because that's the problem we had. We couldn't make honestly, based on the science, I don't think we could have made a bomber based off how nuclear reactors actually work
We did
anyway.
better off with
but,
the nuclear power cars.
Yes, we would have been better off with those. But where was I going with this? But the nuclear reactor in itself, another big problem they couldn't even get off the ground because they literally couldn't figure out how to make a plane fly with all the lead shielding they'd need for the pilots. And then they were like, wait, Russia figured this out. How did they figure it out? They're like, and they were all wondering, how did they figure out a way to shield the pilots? And like, they didn't shield the pilots. They let those suckers die. Like, it's Russia. They didn't give a damn. Oh, to anyone who may be watching this who is Russian, I'm sorry, but I'm telling the truth. I'm not even going there. I'm telling the truth.
This has been released at this point. You can't really argue, but I know somebody will. Back on to get back on Godzilla, the one thing I will say, I like the Showa era the best because I think most of my favorite Godzilla movies come out of the Showa era. I'm very biased because Showa era was the first Godzilla I watched. The Showa era had a very tonal switch. The first two movies, Godzilla, the first movie Godzilla was straight up a horror film character. The second movie, Godzilla was still the villain, but they had to introduce another monster to keep people attention.
Yeah.
The third movie, still the villain, again, bring in the most famous monster at the time, which was King Kong, to fight Godzilla because they thought that was going to be the last movie. Every movie after that, Godzilla make the switch from anti-villain to from villain to anti-hero to hero. And eventually we have to a point where Godzilla is basically defender of Earth by the last movie.
Take that, Gamera.
Pretty much. And of course the main reason was because they found out young boys were watching Godzilla and they wanted to gear it more towards a kid audience. And some of the most popular shows at the time was Ultraman, Zone Fighters, Sentai heroes, so Power Rangers like figures. So, it made sense from a marketing standpoint to switch Godzilla to that. I've always liked it just because it is fun watching Godzilla be the hero of the Earth and figure out what it's like watching a Saturday morning cartoon. What monster of the week will Godzilla defeat this time to save Earth?
I legitimately don't remember the first Godzilla movie I ever saw.
That may be a good thing. Something go through the archive folder to see, jog your memory.
I don't remember. Well, no, because now I've seen enough of them to where it's like I can only tell you the ones I haven't seen, but the ones I have, because remember, like I don't have a timestamp with my memory.
For me, I know for a fact it was the 1954 Godzilla was my first one. Because I remember what made me watch the next one was I'm like, oh, he's still alive. Perfect. He can get revenge on that stupid humanity. That was my train of thought as a child.
Makes sense.
But I do like that.
Because oddly enough, the earliest one I remember is Godzilla 2000, but I had a toy as a kid. I know I must have seen Godzilla at some point before that. Unless I just bought the toy because I thought it looked cool, which is not impossible.
But other than that,
That's gonna drive me crazy.
it would be a while. It's gonna be a while before we see the next couple eras is going to have Godzilla as the villain, which I do also like because I think Godzilla worked when he's the villain. I think it's the best when he's just fighting humanity. This is
Yeah.
also, remember how I told you I had some, I didn't, remember how I told you that I liked minus one, but one of my problem was Godzilla was too weak when it came to fighting humanity?
Yes.
Because I was comparing him to 1954. 1954 Godzilla, he never got damaged by humanity. He only got damaged at the end with a weapon that don't exist.
Pretty much.
Whereas minus one, while it was, I give you point, yeah, I give you credit. It was clever how they took him out. It was still a way we could do that. We could replicate this back then and right now, of how to take out Godzilla from minus one.
That's true.
I don't like Godzilla being taken out in a conventional. And ironically enough, Toho isn't supposed to like it that way either, because they had a whole stink about specific ways Godzilla was supposed to die. So I'm very surprised they let minus one kill. Well, I guess technically, spoilers, he didn't die at the end of minus one. So I guess that's why they let them get away with it.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But that's also, if you ever heard me had a stink about minus one, that's my main gripe, is I don't feel Godzilla should ever be able to be harmed by conventional human weapons of any type. It has to be almost a sci-fi supernatural weapon to damage him. So alien, alien laser cannons, oxygen destroyer, space metal. But other than that, Zed, anything you want to throw in before we get Godzilla out here?
Was Godzilla pure dragon, or are we adding another type to this?
Has to be. I want to say fire, but then I don't think he would be weak against ice if he had.
No, he would not be. He would be neutral.
Well, I mean, it doesn't technically breathe fire. It breathes radiation.
You know what? Dragon poison, because of the radiation.
Yep, there we go.
Is either gotta be dragon poison, or he has like a megaphone where his megaphone is dragon poison and his base form is dragon.
Is there a light type?
No.
I'm trying to think what dragon water. Maybe.
Wait, so there are fairy type freaking Pokemon, but there's not a light type Pokemon. There are ghost type Pokemon, and there's not a light type Pokemon.
There's a dark type Pokemon.
Yeah, there are dark type Pokemon. How are there not light type Pokemon?
I don't know. The dark types are weak to bug and fighting.
But no, how is there not a light type Pokemon?
So dark types specifically are supposed to be villain Pokemon.
Yeah,
and
like dark intent.
The reason they made them weak to fighting is because most villains, in shonens, get beat by the heroes in a fight. So fighters. I believe the bug was, don't quote me on this, I believe it was a throwback to what's the name of that? Kamen Rider. Kamen Rider, yeah. Kamen Rider. I think it's a throwback to Kamen Rider, since he is technically he was one of the earliest Sentai heroes who was themed after bugs. There's your little fun fact. There's no fun facts.
I mean, if it helps, most of the fairy type attacks are like light-based things, and they also are good against dark.
Well, no, I was just saying, because Godzilla breathes radiation, it would make more sense to have him partially a light type than fire, because, what Godzilla breathes is not fire. I mean, it was versus King Kong, I realize that, but I think in far more movies, it's clear that his atomic breath is a form of radiation and not fire.
That's why I said poison, because poison's the closest thing to the effects of radiation in Pokemon games.
Yeah, I guess it's like poison's not a good descriptor of radiation.
No, it's not. It's the closest thing I have to
That's why I was actually thinking light might be a better explanation, or maybe a water dragon type, if anything.
That's why I said water dragon would be the other one I would go with. But in that case, sorry, Godzilla, we gotta get you out here. I know you don't like it. Go away. We gotta get the next Godzilla in. I know, the next Godzilla, and I am excited about this one. I'm very excited because I forgot about this Godzilla. When I was making this today, and I was trying to pull up the picture of Heisei Godzilla. I noticed when I was trying to pull up the role of a Heisei Godzilla, there was a 1978 Godzilla. And I'm like, 1978 Godzilla? What? What came before Heisei? Because Heisei started in 1984. And I'm like, there was no other Godzilla movie between like 1975 and 1984 that I know of. Or did I miss one? I forgot. Let's see if you guys can recognize the voice. The roar of this Godzilla.
You don't hear the roar.
I didn't hear anything.
You didn't hear it?
No.
You didn't hear a guy yell?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll let you guys listen to it afterward. I forgot about the Godzilla made by Hanna-Barbera.
I was honestly thinking that, but I'm like, no, there's no way Shadow R. Fox is talking
The
about that.
1978 The Godzilla Power Hour. And I forgot
It was
about...
1970s?
Yep, and I forgot
Really?
about Godzilla and Godzuki.
That was really in 1978? I thought it was in
made
1980.
in 1978. I thought it was 1982 because I thought I would have to talk about it after the Heisei era. No, this was made in 1978.
Huh.
And I found the whole series. We're gonna watch at least one of it.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was kind of a dumb show.
Oh, it is. That's why I'm gonna enjoy making you guys watch at least one episode.
Oh god. Zed, run.
Here's the good news.
It's too late for me.
Each episode is only 6 to 7 minutes.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, I remember this show being half an hour long.
Yeah, I think they just crammed them all together.
Or did it just feel like half an hour?
Possibly it felt like half. Because they called it the Godzilla Power Hour. But I found it in parts on YouTube. And from what I saw, it was on the official... I got to double check, but I think it was on the official Toho channel.
All I remember is Godzilla looked really weird to me.
Yeah, he does. You can see it in the picture.
Like, just... I don't even know how to describe what he looks... And, like, why does Godzuki have wings?
Because he's the distant relative to Godzilla.
The brain damaged one.
We'll get to that. You're going to have a new appreciation for Manila by the time we're done with this. But any other thing before we end things off?
Scram buttons, remember them.
Yeah. Also, I know why you guys didn't hear the audio. I'm sharing the OBS rather than the PowerPoint. That's why you couldn't hear it.
Got it.
Oh,
Zed?
But they heard it. The people on YouTube heard that horrible noise. Zed, any last comment before we end off? He's still trying to think what was Godzilla's second typing for Pokemon.
Probably.
I can tell.
Or he just ran from embarrassment. One of the two.
He may have ran when he saw this cover. So next time we'll go over the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla series. That's going to be very interesting.
Oh god.
This can only end well.
I thought you were joking.
Oh no, I'm not joking. We're gonna do this.
Why would you think he was joking?
Sanity.
Oh, this is good.
None of us have that anymore.
I can't wait.
All three of us revoked that long ago.
I can't wait to see your guys' reaction to the Scrappy Doo of the Godzilla universe.
I resent that. Name three things that I do that are considered insane.
Only three.
Actually, don't answer that. Never mind. I revoked that question.
Good. Do you also revoke your incorrect statement that you still have yours?
Can I get back to you on that?
I guess we'll see you all next time. This is gonna be glorious.
Oh god.